Alright guys, in today's video I will be talking about one of the most important updates to Madden 21, which I think is necessary for any football game for that matter. But I'm definitely going to dive into that, but before I do so, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, cut on your notifications, and hit that like button. Now let me explain to you guys what I'm referring to. To me, this is the biggest update for Madden 21. We still have to see how it all plays out. But to me, this is the most important aspect of this game. If we're ever going to get the game where we want it to go, if we ever want, to add the features and bells and whistles that we all have asked for, it's got to start with AI. It has to start with AI. Now, before I dive into all of that, let me just scroll through this Gridiron Notes here, man, so you guys can see what exactly is being done in Madden 21 in terms of playbooks and AI and things of that nature. And I will put a link in the description. I'm not going to read these things. I will allow you guys to do that because, like I said, I'm not going to focus on each and every aspect of the Gridiron Notes. I'm going to talk specifically about the AI. Now, as we're scrolling through here, here's how I feel about playbooks, just to give you guys, my general opinion on playbooks. How can I say this? I'm big on playbooks and all of that, but I'm more so big on the authenticity of it, right? Not so much how crazy the plays are or how creative the plays can be. Now, of course, if they allow to create a play feature, I'm cool with that. As long as it doesn't break the game and, it does allow guys to be a little more strategic and things of that nature. But in general, I'm just a fan of authenticity. I want authentic playbooks. I'm not even a fan of custom playbooks, even though I utilize them in Madden. But, being a hardcore replication simulation type of guy, a lot of times I just go with the playbook of the team. And if it was more authentic, if it was more specific to what that team does, I'm cool with that. And especially a simulation-minded guy like myself that plays in a franchise on and offline, it allows a little more immersion to have to build around the playbook that you have. And don't get me started around playbooks, because of course, if we got the franchise depth that I would love to have, you would have an offensive and defensive coordinator who also dictates those type of things. But don't get me going down that rabbit hole. We'll get back to that. But I just wanted to give you my quick thoughts on that before I dive into the AI piece. Again, playbooks, great. I want them to match, but I'm not one of those guys that want all of these ridiculous plays in the game because, again, man, in the NFL, there's but so many plays on the grand scale that teams use that are different. How they perform them is different. Formations might be different. And you do have, some coaches, like Shanahan and, guys like Andy Reid that might get a little creative. But what I'm saying, in the grand scheme of things, especially defensively, they're not but so many different types of defense. All right, so that's just how I feel about that. But let me get into the AI. Let me scroll back up here to the top, man, so we can hone in on what I want to talk about here. Let's start right here. Okay. A major point of emphasis for gameplay, or for the gameplay team going into Madden 21, was improving all elements of our run defense. In doing so, we also took time to evaluate and make improvements in other areas such as formation, alignment, pass coverage, and playbooks. Great. Here's some more things here to point out. I'm just going to go right here. We also spent time improving AI, specifically clock management, play calling, and adjustments for AI-controlled teams, with the primary goal of making CPU opponents run their schemes more efficiently and effectively. To me, that's where it starts and ends. If you don't have the proper AI in a sports title, you have nothing. You have nothing. And as much as I'm a huge franchise guy, and side note, fix Madden franchise. Yeah, we keeping that hashtag going. But as much as I am a franchise guy, none of the stuff that I asked for will matter if the game's AI is not adequate. It's not functioning. like it should if it's not what was advertised for Madden 25. Remember the Ignite engine? And Andrew Wilson said, oh, human-like artificial intelligence. Players will be able to make calculations, on the fly. Never saw any of that. Right? So that brings me down to this. Let's keep scrolling. Brings me down to, well, actually, before I get into the point I was about to make, let's take a pause and look at defensive adjustments to offensive motion. I don't have a problem with this. I'm not going to read this entire paragraph, but again, you will have the ability here. Let's go ahead and start reading from here. Maybe we'll go down to about, let's say here. You will have the ability to cut this off. So for those who don't want this, great. Make it a toggle option. That's how I feel about pretty much anything in the game. Make the feature, but if people don't want it, they can toggle it off. That's up to them. It says the new adjustments to motion system taps into the logic we use for the defensive auto flip feature. Based on the defensive play call and the type of offensive motion used, defenses will adjust to the change of strength to maintain proper alignments and run fit gap integrity by treating the motion the same as an audible. With this approach, getting the defense aligned more appropriately, we can remove some of the motion restrictions we have put in place for formations like I-form type that were necessary for game balance. Great. To me, that is a huge win. Because again, I'm also the type of guy that I don't like the band-aids. I don't like band-aid fixes. I like fundamental fixes that can allow you to, as it says here, remove some of the restrictions or band-aids you put in place to counter something. So this is all great. Again, if you're the type that doesn't prefer this and you want to cut it off, cut it off. That's up to you. But this is great. Now, pass coverage, everything that's said here, I kind of like where they're going with it. Again, I'm not going to spend my time here reading this entire thing because, I want to hone in on the AI. And this video is already probably a bit too long, right? But everything that they have in here, I'm in favor of for the most part. For the most part. However, let me make a little side note here. Let me find it. It says, defenders will use, and I'm actually going to read all the way down to about here. Defenders will use more appropriate press man animations that scale per the matchup of the defender's press rating versus the receiver's release rating. In Madden 20, lower rated defenders were too often successful. Yes, notice I added the word often. Were too often successful at winning press interactions. Defenders in Madden 21 can now get faked out by certain wide receiver releases. This allows more animation content in these situations and will for more separation of the line, of scrimmage versus outmatch defensive backs. And let me read that sentence again because I kind of botched it. This allows more animation content in these situations and will for more separation. I think they missed a word in there. So y'all know what they're trying to say here. Basically, it's going to allow more animation content and offer more separation off the line of scrimmage versus outmatched defensive backs. Great. My only sidebar is this. I want to see more contextual, realistic animation. What I mean by that, what we've seen in Madden quite often is the same type of press animation. It's either a win or a loss. And even though it's saying here that we're going to see more variety, I want to see organic variety. I don't want to see animations that match the situation. Playing the beta, I can say I saw some variety, but I'm almost certain that it's still not as organic as one would want it. Still need to spend a little more time with the game to know that. But I think you guys understand what I'm saying. We got to get to a point where sports titles are not so reliant on the triggered animation. Let the animation trigger, but let what's actually happening on the field determine how it plays out. So if you have the pre-canned or the animation that comes out of your library, I want to see physics, leverage, weight, momentum, if you're in position, etc., dictate how the animation actually plays out. And those are the type of things I would be looking for. Maybe not so much in this current generation, but absolutely we'll be looking for it on what it says up here, next level. All right, man, so let me get down to the section that I really want to talk about here, and then we'll get out of here. Of course, this is all great. This goes into what I want to talk about. I will say this, a little piece of this here. This, to me, did feel different in the beta. I think you guys heard me say when I gave my review of the beta or my impressions, yeah, these quarterbacks kind of feel like themselves. Tom Brady was very quick with his release. If a guy was open, he was finding him. Lamar Jackson won't wasting no time. He was taking off and running if nothing was there. You kept on calling the same defense, guess what? They start countering it. I saw all of that in the beta. Now, I'll wait to see how the game is fine-tuned, but those aspects alone, I enjoyed that part of it. Definitely felt like I was playing smarter quarterbacks. Absolutely, and they did feel different in terms of Lamar Jackson versus a Tom Brady versus a Patrick Mahomes. That's good. We'll see how different that feels when we can play with more teams. So let's get down to the real meat. And I'm going to read this entire paragraph. I hate to do it, but I got to. Adaptive AI and AI quarterback updates. So this will allow you guys to kind of understand what I just said here in black and white. And then I will give my feedback piece on this. Once an NFL quarterback gets to the line of scrimmage and scans the defense, he has the option to audible to a play he feels is good versus the current defensive look. In Madden 21, we're refining our adaptive AI logic, which will give AI quarterbacks the ability to audible to pass concepts that are ideal for attacking certain defensive coverages. This logic will begin to take place after repeated defensive play calls. The AI quarterbacks are much better equipped to deal with all-out blitz plays, and in some situations will change the protection by keeping the halfback or tight end into pass block. Excellent. Make sure you use a variety of defensive plays against AI opponents, or they will start making adjustments to counter. This will drastically improve the strategy in solo game sessions, such as single-player franchise and MUT solos, and make it more difficult to exploit the AI by repeatedly running plays such as double A gap mid-blitz. This is great news on paper. Have to see how this plays out. Excuse me. Have to see how this plays out. It's just that simple. Sounds good on paper, especially for a content creator like I've grown to be, that like to, do a franchise and entertain you guys with that. This will make, oh man, this will take it to the next level, because now I really got to strategize. I really got to pay attention to who I'm playing each week. Let's read the next paragraph. When facing pressure, the AI quarterbacks will play more true to their style of play. For example, a scrambling quarterback will look to run with the ball if they can find an open running lane. A pocket passing quarterback will look to throw the ball away more when feeling under pressure, or even take those one-on-one shots down the field to favorable matchups. I saw this a lot with Tom Brady in the beta. Playing against Lamar Jackson compared to Tom Brady is a completely different experience this year, so be prepared to game plan accordingly. The pressure recognition by the AI quarterbacks will scale by difficulty level, meaning on higher difficulties like All-Pro and All Madden, it will become harder to get the quarterback for a sack before he throws the ball away. Again, this brings everything back full circle. You have to start there. All of the other updates that they made sounds good. All of the stuff that we desire in franchise mode, even off the field, sounds even better. But you have to get this stuff right first. AI, to me, is the single most important improvement for Madden football, and any sports game for that matter. But since we're talking about Madden, we'll stick to Madden. You have to get the AI correct. or at least to the best of the game's ability. That changes everything. Here's my feedback though. What about the defense? I know there were some things in pass coverage and things of that nature that kind of references the updates defensively as far as AI, but I don't see anything specifically talking about defense as I scan through this. Now, if I missed it, maybe some of you guys can help me out and say, hey, Sam, well, you missed this part. But here's my real feedback right here. Adaptive AI. I want this to be the same defensively. I know everybody is not a component of this. Everybody's not a fan of this, but I am. I want my defense also to start adjusting. And if they're wrong, they're wrong. I know, silly me. Some of you guys are going to say, well, what if you tell them to do this, then they do something else? Listen, simulation guys are cool with that. And like I said, a lot of guys who are hardcore simulation guys, we play in franchise modes, whether that be offline or online. So we expect these type of things. You expect to have to build up your corner or your safety or your linebacker, et cetera, so they could be more aware. They can be a little smarter in situations. So we wouldn't have a problem with that, but I want to see adaptive AI on both sides of the ball at every position. And it seems like that they have the ability to tap into that based off of what they're kind of doing with their offensive linemen this year. That needs to be spread out. A cornerback keeps getting beat on slants. Maybe he starts to cheat inside a little bit. Not saying he changes his responsibility, but maybe he starts to cheat inside a little bit because he keeps getting hit for these slants. And that will allow more setup plays. Remember those? From NCAA, which weren't necessarily organic. It was more so, okay, now, you know, you have the ability to possibly run this play because you've set it up. But how about bringing that concept to the game and making it more organic? Not just the number of plays that are ran, but allowing these players to react to what they're seeing on the field. And maybe now you ground and pound, and somebody, you know, the opponent, the defensive opponent would be more susceptible to the play action because you've run it down their throat. And now you got, you know, safeties and corners actively cheating up because they see what's developing on the field. That's the type of stuff I want to see. And some people are saying, man, Sam, you're crazy for saying that. Y'all might say that, but remember, that's what Andrew Wilson said. That's what Andrew Wilson said for Madden 25, human-like intelligence. If that ain't human-like behavior, I don't know what it is in terms of the football field. So, I know I went off on a little tangent there, but that's what I want to talk about. That is the single most important improvement or aspect of the game is AI. Get the AI to function properly. It's a whole different game, and then we can add a lot of this other stuff that desperately needs to be in Madden. All right, guys, so that's my little tirade for the day. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel, cut on your notifications, hit that like button. We'll catch you in the next one. Peace.